Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on? And hello. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode. As you're seeing probably from the title, you're going to get me solo today. Every now and again, I like to get on here solo and just chit chat with you. I'm actually going to grab my mic off of the stand and I'm just going to hold it and chit chat and talk to my camera because I'm going to put this up on Instagram. But hi. Hello. Happy Tuesday. That's when these solo episodes typically come out, is on a Tuesday. It's usually staggered. It's like every other week for the most part. And you're getting me in almost real time. It's currently Friday, June 23rd. This is going to come out on whatever day is the following Tuesday. So it's almost real time. And next week, a week from today, actually, I'm going to be on vacation. We're going to be kicking off our week vacation up in Martha's Vineyard. So I'm super pumped about that. I will have everything scheduled. So you'll still get podcast episodes. So no stress while I'm there. I'll still also be on Instagram from time to time. I would like to, in a perfect world, think that I could shut off my phone completely, but I can't. Well, I can, and I also can't, but I like being on my phone. I like being on social media. I like being able to share bits of my day with you all. And honestly, the more I do it, the easier it is. And I feel like every time I take a break, it's more awkward for me to get back on here. And I don't want to do that to myself. So I'd rather just stay in it and keep on going and just share bits to bits. I'm not going to bring my phone out for everything. My family honestly doesn't like when I do. My mom always is like, put your phone away. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm doing work, Mom. And she's like, okay. Finally, I think my parents understand it a little bit. I think this has been like a 3-year thing. I think in the beginning they were like, okay, I don't really understand it, but they've seen how far my page has come and the direction I'm heading in and how successful this podcast is doing and things like that. And I still have a ways to go, especially here with the podcast. So if you are listening right now, if you can just take a second and just hop off and go leave a rating and review, that would be so incredibly helpful. Even if you share like on your stories, just like tag me, tag the podcast Instagram page. Those things are so tremendously helpful. Like I'm doing really well there. I'm almost at 100,000 downloads for all time, which is so good. But I've also been approached by like different management companies for the podcast separately. And I get excited when they approach me. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, no, we need 40,000. Like one company was like, no, we need 40,000 downloads per month in order to want to bring you on and like find that that's going to be beneficial for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I guess this is not doing as great as I had thought, but that's okay. We're just going to keep on chucking along. But with that being said, I just walked in through the door. I went to Old Navy really quick. Their summer clothes, FYI, so freaking cute. Their jean shorts, awesome. Like I have my favorite jean shorts, but they've definitely improved in other styles. All of them fit so good. And I felt so great that I bought way too much shit because I wanted to try things on, not to necessarily like buy them all. I wanted to like kind of share it and then buy a few things and bring them home. But no, I pretty much bought my entire cart and spent too much money. But honestly, I'd rather have good basics, and I'm ready to ditch the shorts that I'm holding hostage in my closet. I have shorts. I have one pair in particular that I wore when Kevin and I got married, and they're cute. They're Lucky Brand. Are they Lucky Brand? Yeah, they're Lucky Brand. And they have these embroidered flowers on the bottom, and they were frayed. And I remember I bought them and I was really excited about them because at the time for Kevin and I's wedding, I lost a crap ton of weight. Like I joined a gym. That's when I kind of started into like my personal training world, because before that I was working in private business and I was miserable, and I was... how much did I weigh? I was almost like 30 pounds heavier than I am now. This is before babies, things like that. Again, not a big deal. I still looked great, but I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't moving my body. I started working out. I lost a crap ton of weight. I was probably 15 pounds lighter than I am now. So I lost a lot of weight for my wedding. I didn't look different. Like it was more just like I looked really toned and things, but I think I've talked about this before, but I'm extreme. Like I am extreme with anything. It's either all in or all out. I really struggle with that. And I'm actually in like a weird phase currently where I really want to start working out again, but I also know myself so well that I lack moderation in that one area where if I start working out, eventually it's going to start being I need to work out because I need to see this happen. I need to work out because my jeans are too tight. I don't know. Like I will turn it on myself. And that's exactly what I started to do before I had Haley. I really started to teeter again into my unhealthy lifestyle. And it's just, I'm constantly battling it. And so annoying to do that. But I feel like I'm in a really good place. I haven't weighed myself in a long time. So when I'm talking about like how much weight I was then versus now, I'm going based off of what I think I am, based off of the last time I ever weighed myself, which was many months ago. And I really haven't budged in clothing sizes, so I'm assuming it's the same. But I haven't weighed myself in a while. I don't track my creamer anymore. Someone actually brought that up to me on Instagram because I film my morning and getting my coffee in and such. And someone who's been following me for long enough knows that I used to put my coffee mug on my scale. I had like a digital scale and measure out my creamer. And someone said, "You don't measure out your creamer anymore." And I said, "No, I'm trying to be a little unstructured in that area." But there's just certain things that I am trying to like get away from because it's just not healthy. It's not healthy mentally for me. And I feel like I'm in a really great spot. I would like to work out again because I do feel really great when I work out. I'm just scared to. So because of that, I bought way too much Old Navy. You can head to my stories. My Like to Know It. I'm trying to be really good about getting on Like to Know It. I actually just had a meeting and I'm going to kind of give you guys like behind the scenes a little bit. Like I had a meeting recently with someone that works at Like to Know It and I met with her. I have an assistant that helps me with that. We're kind of learning this together and it was really good. It was really like fun and I'm excited. I've always loved clothes. I'm not a fashionista by any means. Like if you watch this video right now, I'm just sitting in my favorite jean shorts and a top that I bought at a boutique. That's like a hoodie. It's like a tie-dye hoodie and I have my hair in a low bun. It's very casual over here, but that's the sort of stuff that I want to share because I want realistic clothing that you can feel good in. And I feel like I always get really weird when people call me an influencer, and I get that I am, but I always think of influencers as being these people that have like this uber fashion sense and super structured lives, and it's just not me. It will never be me. Oh my God. Sometimes wish it was, but I am a cluster F of a person, and that's okay. Anyway, with that being said, I walked in from Old Navy. I think that's where I started off on that tangent of getting in. And I was just sitting down to record this episode and I'm looking around and there's laundry baskets next to me. And I was like, wait, I haven't done laundry. Like, I'm kind of confused. Kevin did it because I took the Spencer and Cassidy with me to go to Old Navy and Haley's down for a nap. So Kev was back here. And Kev folded the laundry and I'm so glad. I love that. I mean, I'm not shocked because he usually, well, no, I've been tackling the laundry a lot lately. And you all know, if you've been following me on Instagram, how much I loathe the laundry. I think it is by far one of the worst chores ever. And it's never going to end. I will have laundry to do for the rest of my life unless I plan on joining a nudist colony, which sounds very appealing by the look of my laundry basket some days. So you never know. I don't know. I don't think I can handle my tits being out that much. Oh, loose labias. Oh, just flopping around. Loose labias. Seeing a bunch of balls all the time. Oh, they're little wieners. Oh, no, never mind. I'm taking that back. I'm not joining a nudist colony. Never. No. And seeing everyone's areolas. Like, I wouldn't be able to focus. I would look at you. And then I would stare down at your areolas and look up again. And then if I was talking to a man, I would constantly be looking at his penis. Constantly. It would not be good. Anyway, I need to stay focused, Mary. Oh, my Lord. Okay. Anyway, he folded them, but I have to talk about this. This is another conversation. Is I brought it up to Kevin yesterday, and I've been trying to get better about like just saying when I need help. And I feel like that is a really hard thing for most of us to do. But I feel like it's hard for us to do with our husbands because we are afraid of being labeled as the nagging wife. And I hate that for us. And yesterday morning, I woke up. I had taken the kids to the carnival the night before, a carnival nearby. Brought Spencer and Cassidy to this carnival. Kevin stayed back with Haley. He put her to bed, and we didn't get home until 9 o'clock at night. So by the time he put Haley to bed, it was probably around 7. He had 2 hours just to chill out. And I came home and he was asleep on the couch. Totally fine. Okay. I didn't really pay attention to anything else. We went to bed. I woke up the next morning. Kevin had already left the house for work. And as we get downstairs with all of the kids, like all 3 of them woke up at the same exact time, I go to the dishes and I notice that not only because I had emptied the dishwasher right before we left for this carnival, that the dishes that were in the sink were never loaded into the empty dishwasher. And not only that, Kevin's oatmeal bowl from that breakfast and stuff, he just plopped it right on top. And I was fuming. And I debated and I sat there and I was like, I really want to text him. And I typed out a text and I think I don't appreciate, or no, I think I said, I don't appreciate. And then I subtracted that. And then I said, you could have put the dishes away. And then I subtracted that because I was like, oh, wait, that's everything I try to say right now is just going to sound like an uber bitch. I got to figure this out. So instead, I called him and because I knew he was just getting into work. And I was like, before he gets out of his car, I'm just going to call him. And when he picked up, I said, hey, did you notice that the dishes were overflowing a little bit? And he said, yeah. And I said, why didn't you put them in the empty dishwasher? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He said, I didn't think I was supposed to. And right there, the supposed to. And I just said, I was like, well, you're as supposed to as I'm supposed to, Kev. And he was like, but let me tell you this, Kevin is a fantastic husband. He is a fantastic husband. He loves me so much. He probably loves me more than I love him. I'm being fully frank, and I think that's the way it should be. He loves me. He loves our children. He is a hard worker. He is passionate about what he does. He is passionate about his family. He is passionate about God. He is such a good man, but he's also a man. And he's also a product of his generation. He's also a product of his family. And he's also a product of so many other things that we just need to work our way through. And I don't even like to say I hesitated because I almost said it to him and I'm like, Kev, we just have to get better because we have to I wanted to say train, we have to train you to do this. And I was like, wait, that's sounds terrible, but it kind of is. And I actually just had a really great podcast guest on who you'll hear upcoming in a couple of weeks. Her name's Paige Turner. I found her on TikTok. She only has 15,000 followers on TikTok, and I don't know why she hasn't blown up more. But she just hits the nail on the head every single time. She's a working mom of 4. Her and her husband both work. They're dual income earners. They're both very equal income earners. And yet she is the primary default parent. And she talks about the mental load of that. And one of the things that she pointed out, which I just thought was so good and just worded so great, is that we often compliment men on being physically present, and we think that that is even to the mental load that the primary parent holds. And a lot of the times, and I totally agreed with her on that, where she was like, I get in an argument sometimes with my husband because he didn't do A, B, C, and D, the things that he should be doing. And his comeback will kind of be like, well, I'm always here for the family. I'm here for bedtime. I play with the kids. I'm home for dinner, things like that. And she's like, I get that, but that doesn't excuse you from the rest. She's like, if that makes sense. And I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. And Kevin hasn't really said that to me. I know he kind of has, where he's like, you know what, I'm home, I work hard. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the same. It's not the same. And that's why this conversation with the dishes was so important when he said, I didn't think I should. I didn't know I should have. And I was like,
we'll be back after a quick break.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
So why should I? So your should have is as much important as my should have. Like I put the dishes in the empty dishwasher because it's not because I should, it's because I could. And because I know that I'm there and why not? And no different than when I fold laundry, or sometimes I'll pick up your slack. Sometimes you'll pick up my slack, like you just did with folding the laundry right now. It's just that constant conversation. And I said, it is so, I'm not talking about equal. Like, and I told him that, like, I don't want necessarily like equal. Like I did the laundry this night. You now do the laundry this night. Like I don't really go tit for tat. I never want to do that with him. It's more just this mutual respect that we are going to do things as a team. And I want him to just be as cognizant of the things that I look for on a daily basis, because I constantly am looking and being like, let's put the dishes away. Let's put the laundry away. Let's do this stuff. And I feel like sometimes he doesn't. And I don't want it to be a negative thing. I want it to be an empowering thing. And that's why I've talked about like the whole, default parent stigma so often, especially on like socials and stuff, is like, I want that for our men. Like I want that for our boys. I want that for Spencer. Like I want Spencer to see me doing these things. I want Spencer to have just as much involvement in doing these things as he gets older, because one day if he chooses to get married and becomes a father, I want him to feel empowered in knowing that he can cook a meal, that he can participate in the family things. And one of the conversations that Paige and I had in our thing, and joking around, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen this on social media, is I've joked about it before, is, I can yell at my kids, I can discipline my kids and things like that. If my husband ever tries to, I will immediately shut him down. And yet I kind of want him to, but then if he does, I will just be like, get out. And the reason for that is not like, I think it is mama bear a little bit, but I also feel like it is, you cannot just insert yourself in places when you're not fully involved in everything else. You can't be involved in decision making if you don't know all of the facts, if you're only picking and choosing, how you want to be involved, or unless you're doing the work to figure it out. If you want to think about it, like on a team, let's imagine you're a part of a team and someone wants to know your opinion. Wouldn't they want your opinion thinking that you actually have researched, the different things, that you've actually involved yourself to see how everything works before you can give an honest, clear-minded perspective? Wouldn't you want that? That's how it is for parenting. That's why I think sometimes it gets so frustrating on, a wife and a husband side and mom, dad side, because, one person usually, is the default. One person is the primary, and that primary has so much riding on them. And then they want to think that their partner is actively as involved. That way together they can make the decisions. But instead, a lot of the decision making falls on the primary parent. And that is so heavy. It's so heavy and it's a lot. And that's where like the resentment and all of this just comes from. And it's garbage. So with that being said, I'm challenging you guys right now just to chat, like talk to your significant other. And if you ever get pushback, explain to them like that you want this for them. Like I think about that constantly. And the one big thing that like I always bring up, and I know this is so morbid, but if something were to all of a sudden happen to me and I were to poof off of this planet, I want to know that Kevin will be just as capable to take care of our kids as I would if he were to go poof. There are things obviously, that I would need help on if, Kev disappeared tomorrow, and information that I would probably struggle with to figure out. But that's the stuff that I actually sat down the other day and I was like, what stuff don't I know? And do I need to have involvement in? And like some of that, because it's like mortgage, like Kevin knows where to call to pay for our mortgage because he's responsible for paying for our mortgage, things like that. But otherwise, I pretty much know everything about Kev. It's the opposite where I'm like, do you know who we use for a doctor? Do you know what days Cassidy has to be here? That days Spencer has to be there. Do you know what her Cassidy's speech therapist phone number is? Do you know all of these workings? Do you know the name of the pediatric dentist that I take the kids to? Like all of this stuff that I have where I'm like, do you know how to do that? Do you know how to brush Cassie's hair? Like, do you know that stuff? Do you know that you should make their beds for them in the morning? That way they can learn how to structure their lives and feel good about their day. Like all of that stuff that I think about. And I'm like, I don't think he would be as capable. And like my dad used to joke all the time when I was a kid, and he used to say it after my mom would go away for a trip, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And my dad, every time my mom would go away and come home, my dad would call and up her life insurance, because he realized every single time how much work it was and how many things she had her hands in. And it wasn't necessarily, she was a stay-at-home mom, and that I think kind of sets you up to be the default. But in general, it's just anyone that's the primary, anyone that is handling the majority of the invisible stuff that you may not see. You need to challenge your significant other and be like, hey, do you know this stuff? If not, let's sit down and figure out a way to like make this feel like we're both doing it together, because it's empowering. It's not to prove who's doing more, who's doing less. It's not a battle. It's just to feel really empowered together as a couple, you know? So with that, I'm feeling really good, and I love seeing all the folded laundry right next to me. It is a weight off of my shoulders. So that's my challenge. Please talk to your partner. I do believe Paige, again, you'll hear this episode in a couple of weeks, but I think she said that there's a book that she recommended. I will have to check and see what that is, but I know she actually sat with her partner and went through this book, and she said it was amazing. And I'm going to have to see. And if I can find it, I'll link it in the show notes. If not, stay tuned for that episode. It was phenomenal. I also have episodes coming out with a medium. I had a medium that I sat down with. Her name's Jessica Lynn. Holy heck. I sway on the side of skepticism with that stuff, and she blew me out of the water. So that's an exciting one. I have, Dr. Tracy, she's coming on. She's fabulous. I have Dr. Morgan Cutlip that's scheduled to be on. I have so many guests that I am planning on bringing on. And if you guys ever think of someone that you want on, please message me over on the podcast page. Please message me on the Very Merry page. Email me, theverymerrylife@gmail.com. You can give me a recommendation and I can reach out. Or if you're listening and you want to be on for the Real Life Mom feature, stay tuned for that. I'm actually going to put out that form probably at the end of the summer and continue, because I had so many submissions that are probably just going to work through that first. But I'm so excited for where this podcast is going, and here's to hoping it continues to grow. But like I said, this time next week, I'm hopefully going to be sitting on a beach with a drink in my hand, although not really. I don't know. You know what? This is the final thing I'll touch on, because I've been asked a lot about it, is drinking, and kind of why I haven't been as much. And if you've been following me long enough on Instagram and things like that, you know that I was like a wine connoisseur. I loved wine. I still do love wine. I love smelling it. I like dipping my finger in and tasting it. I do not like drinking it anymore. I stopped for a handful of reasons, but for one, I started to feel like shit. And I wasn't really even drinking that much. I was drinking sometimes I would drink like every single night, but that sounds worse than it was. I would have like a glass every single night, because it was nice to pour it and make dinner and whatever. But even a glass of wine, after I had it, about 30 minutes later, I would sit and feel like I had heart palpitations. It was awful. And then some mornings I would wake up and have a headache, and it was slight. It was just enough to it felt off. I didn't like that feeling. If I ever went more than 1 or 2 glasses, then God help me. I rarely ever did that, because it just wasn't worth it. But if I did, then, hangover central, or anxiety. My anxiety skyrocketed. And if you've been following, I really, really dealt with bad anxiety a handful of months ago, like 3. It was whenever I was starting to wean Haley from breastfeeding, or like 11 and a half months. I was smacked down with anxiety, and it was like the embodiment of anxiety, which is hard to explain to people if you don't really understand anxiety. But it was like heart palpitations when no alcohol was in my system, but just during the day, I constantly had to take deep breaths because I felt like I had something sitting on my chest. I was constantly feeling sick to my stomach. I wasn't hungry. Sleep was awful. I always had this feeling of like gloom and doom. It was just a terrible, terrible time. And I felt like anytime I drank any sort of alcohol, it amplified. And I know that that's a real thing. They call it anxiety. There's a science behind it. I'm not going to even try to explain it because I would have to pull up the real thing. But from what I've understood from it is that there is something in your brain, a chemical that obviously gets inhibited when you drink, hence the reason why you're a little bit more carefree, why you're a little bit more laid back. That's the fun part of it. But because you've lowered it so much, when you do drink or when you stop drinking, it now has to like kind of kick into overdrive. So now this hormone or whatever it is doubles almost. So now you're at baseline plus more. So imagine what that feels like. And that's why you get anxiety and stuff like that. And it's not worth it to me. It really isn't. And I think the final kicker, honestly, was just, I was out to dinner with my parents, with the family, and I just had a lot of wine. And I woke up the next day and I was like, I don't like this anymore. Like I felt awful. And I was like, this isn't even fun. Like this isn't fun. My kids now have to pay the price of me being an anxious mess. I don't want that for myself and I don't want it for my family. And honestly, it's not even worth it to me. And it's not that I'm going 100% sober. Although I haven't had a drink of alcohol at all in, I don't know, a month almost. But I'm saving it for special occasions. I might have something when I'm on vacation. I don't know. But honestly, I'd rather not. I'd rather dabble into other things. And that's something that, Katie and I covered this. We recorded an episode and it didn't process, like the recording studio that I use like online didn't process our recording. So I couldn't pull it. So we have to like re-record it at some point. And I plan on bringing a panel of women on to talk about this, but I dabble in edibles, guys. I love them. Full disclosure here. I know that people have their stigmas with this stuff. I know people have their like hesitations and they have their viewpoints on it. But for one, New Jersey is legal. 2, I hate the smell of smoking it, so I will never smoke it. And 3, you're talking to someone who has been so hesitant against this stuff that if you had told me 2 years ago that I would be saying that, I wouldn't have believed you. I used to, like, I tried smoking pot in high school and it was god awful. It was like the worst experience of my life. And I probably, like, that is not smart. Don't smoke pot in high school, guys. It's stupid. It's not even worth it unless you're getting something good. But even then, it's a gateway drug. It is, unless you're wise enough to know the dangers of it. And even then, you still need to know what can come out of it, because I think, Kev is obviously a police officer and things like that. Kev doesn't like it. Kev doesn't like it at all. He's never even tried it, but he hates it. And a lot of it is due to the fact that it's like, how do you enforce it? How do you screen for it? Like DUI stuff. Like, how do you know that someone's driving? It's the legality that Kev has a problem with, which I totally understand. But for me, I love that more instead of wine. And I have no plans on going back. I don't ever take it when I'm with the kids by myself. I never take it around my kids. I wait for them to go to bed. And honestly, when I do take it, you will never know. Because it doesn't change me. It doesn't change me in how I act. I'm not belligerent. I'm not sloppy. I don't smell. I don't have like slanted eyes or bloodshot eyes. I literally feel, and by the way, I'm like taking 2 milligrams. So let's really be honest on how much that is. It's like not enough. It's enough to kill a mouse maybe, but for me, it feels like a drop in the ocean. But I feel like if you drink wine or like you have beer, I'm trying to think. I feel like wine used to do it. When you'd feel like warm and that buzz would come on initially, and it's like that euphoric buzz before you teeter onto the side of being drunk, where you're just like, you're brought down a notch. That's what edibles feel like. And I never knew that was possible. Ever, because I thought that all marijuana just made you feel like a space cadet. And I'm sure it does. Like if you really go overboard, if I took too much, I would be out of my mind. But honestly, like I'm so intrigued by it now. And I've talked to a slew of women whenever I've talked about it on Instagram, whenever I've asked about how people feel about it. More women do it than you realize. So if you are here listening and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I'm encouraging you to open your eyes a little bit, because the amount of stories of positive feedback that I got from it is so good. And it's women who are using it responsibly, women who are using it for medical reasons, women who are using it for anxiety reasons, depression reasons, instead of taking medications, they've been able to get off medications. For me, I feel like it is helping me tremendously in my sleep because anxiety typically hits me at the end of the night. So I'm able to just fall asleep. I feel more rested than I've ever had before because of taking it. And it's been really positive in my world. And that's why I like talking about it. And that's why I like encouraging it. Sometimes I get goofy on it. If it's on a Friday night, like tonight, I might get goofy on it in a safe way, but I don't find it to be a problem. No different than I don't find it to be a problem that you're having 2 glasses of wine, as long as you're using it responsibly and as long as it is serving you in a positive way. And that's the thing with wine. It wasn't serving me at all. It just was not it wasn't a positive in my life at all. So that's why I switched to SADS, but yeah, so that's my full honesty on that one, especially with the drinking. I don't know what I'll plan on doing on vacation. It's legal up in Massachusetts. That's where we're going. So I'll do that maybe. But even then, I don't want to do that when the kids are around because I don't know. I want to be sober. I sober when I'm around my children afterwards, when they go to bed, then I don't mind just being brought down a notch. But when I'm with my kids, I just enjoy it. And I know that sounds crazy, especially because again, I have nothing with a wine mom culture. I've covered that in a podcast before. I really don't think the wine mom culture needs to be as serious as it is. I also think that there is a huge discrepancy of how we view moms in drinking wine versus how we treat dads. And I that bothers me a lot. But I think for me with, the joke sometimes is I need to drink in order to handle my kids and stuff like that. And I get it because I sometimes felt that way too. There are plenty of days where I am way too strung out. And I think sometimes if it just brings you down a notch and you're able to act kind and whatnot, then maybe that works out. But I will tell you this, I have become a better, more patient parent since I've cut wine out of my life. And I want to just throw that out there. And it wasn't that way at first. There were certainly nights where I was it's around 5:00. The kids are in their witching hour. I want to pour a glass of wine. Why don't I do this? But then I would push through, and instead it would just make me refocus on how can I wrap up tonight and make sure everyone's needs are being met. And it makes you have to confront the uncomfortableness of motherhood. And it did. And I had to meet it head on. And trust me, there was plenty of moments where it's still chaos, but I feel like all of this is just working so much better because I am thinking with a clear mind. I've preemptively planned for how the night is going to go. I can calmly react to the kids and figure out how to be proactive so that way their witching hour isn't as terrible as it has been, if that makes sense. I feel like wine was just kind of my Band-Aid to be yeah, it's going to be chaos. Let's just drink. Let the chaos ensue instead of actually trying to handle the chaos. I don't know. That was my personal experience. This is all going to be different for everyone else. Again, if it's serving you, if it's something positive in your life and you feel good and you feel like you're balancing it well and you feel all of that stuff, cheers to you. High five. I'm so glad. Keep doing you. But for me, it wasn't working anymore. And that's why I like to share it because maybe, if you want someone to be hey, I want to challenge myself to give up something for a little bit, then do it. I'll be right here cheering you on. You can join me. And if you dabble in edibles from time to time, then message me too. Let me know about it. How you feeling? I've actually met a lot of you that do, and it's so great because you'll send me a picture of you, and I'm I love it. It's the end of the night. Go have fun, But anyway, this is 35 minutes long. I try and keep my solo episode short. This is just a catch up, kind of where we're at, little discussion. So as I said, this is coming out Tuesday, Friday episode. I forget who is going to be on Friday. Oh, Friday episode is the corporate mama. So any of my working moms here, please check her out. She's fabulous. Her name's Sarah. Her handle is literally The Corporate Mama, but her and I are going to be chit-chatting all things working mom, and really just diving into that, which is going to be great. And then the following week after that, I believe is going to be another solo episode. I'm going to be trying to do a little bit more solo episodes on Tuesdays and push all of my guest interviews to Fridays. That way it's a little bit more consistent where you can check out a Tuesday. You'll see me, either me or Kev. Sometimes maybe I'll throw in Katie for Katie's Corner on a Tuesday if I feel like I can't fit her in elsewhere. But typically it's going to be Katie's Corner every other week on a Friday and then a guest in between there. I like that a little bit better. I like having a little bit more solo space to be able to do this and chit chat with you and be able to like actually honestly talk with you. And I love that I can do that too with my guests. But at the same time, last season, when I built in so many spots for guests to come on, I felt like it was like almost every episode that I was with a new guest, which was great. But I don't know these people as well. So I still have to put on like a front when I talk to them and be a little bit more professional and kind of tone myself down, which is fine. But you're not getting the real me when I talk to a guest sometimes. So if it's me and Katie, you're getting the real me, depending on the guest, how well I know them. But if it's someone I may not know totally, then I'm definitely a little bit more, I don't know, laid back. So that's the plan. We're going to be good. Next time we're chatting, I have a new book and I'm going to be trying to pick up new books. That way I can kind of share them with you. This one is talking about why swearing is good for you. And I'm so excited about it. This book, I am so pumped to read, but you know me, I love a good F-bomb every now and again. And especially since this podcast has been marked explicit, we might as well talk about the things that apparently make me explicit to listen to. So that's the plan. Go be you. Be proud of yourself today. I know it might be a hard day that you're at or whenever you're listening to this. Just know that I'm thinking of you and that I'm rooting you on and that I'm so proud of you. Even if today doesn't feel like it has been your best day, know that you're here. Like that in and of itself is an accomplishment because you are showing up, you're putting in the work. And if you're exhausted, that means you're doing something. Okay. And I get it. I get it. So great job. I love you. I'm going to end it like that because we need more love in our life. And until next time, see ya. Another episode down. Thank you all so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, I would be so appreciative if you would leave a rating and review. I cannot begin to tell you how much those mean to me, but also how much they help me get in front of more eyes and more ears. As always, be sure to check back every Tuesday and Friday for a new episode, whether it's an episode with me and my husband, me and Katie, or just another incredible amazing guests. Stay tuned for more honest, real, raw chit chat. And hey, do me a favor before you go. Remind yourself how amazing you are, how enough you are, how special you are. And boy, oh boy, I sure am glad to have you here. Thanks, friend.